down for.
If not, this would have been next.
I did. And I'm about to, I went the night when I saw it. It's like 3 in the morning, so I really didn't know what to like.
You say that.
To be like,
You've been pretty good.
we'll be there. But yeah, I'm coming. First of all, it's still bad though.
Okay, I'm gonna call our meeting to order, so roll call, Ms. Ford, Mr. Steve.
Chairman Smith,
Here.
Mrs. Black,
Here.
Mr. Connor,
Here.
Mr. Groan,
Here.
Mrs. Jones,
Here.
Mr. Keene,
Here.
Mr. Perez,
Here.
Mrs. Faye Robinson,
Here.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson,
Here.
Mrs. Thurman, Dr. Wingate,
Here.
Superintendent Dr. Robertson.
Here.
Motion to approve our agenda
As amended, Mr. Chairman.
as amended. You do, thank you. You do have on the second sheet some amendments there.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Keene,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Faye Robinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Wingate,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, our pledge and meditation, Ms. Harris. Thank you for coming.
Yay!
Thrasher
I think
represents,
everybody
folks.
loves Ms. Harris.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to start out by reading a quote by Rita Pearson. Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Thank you, Thrasher, for representing tonight.
Everybody loves her. Okay, need an approval to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I didn't,
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's not like
I
I'm in a hurry
retract
tonight,
my
is it?
approval.
Yeah, we'll start over there with Mr. Groan, our disclaimer.
Does not apply.
Ms. Robinson?
Sorry. Yep. I'm sorry.
She's snacking.
I was eating.
2 more months, Tiffany. Come on, get it together.
Really just one after this. I declare that I have a family member who works for the school system and that the board's vote on budget, policies, etc. may have an effect on my relative's employment. Even so, I hereby certify that I will cast my vote in the best interest of the school system.
I declare that I have a relative who works for the school system and that the board's vote on budget, policies, etc. may have an effect on my relative's employment. Even so, I hereby certify that I will cast my vote in the best interest of the school system.
I declare that I have relatives who work for the school system and that the board's vote on all matters may have an effect on my relative's employment. Even so, I hereby certify that I will cast my vote in the best interest of the school system.
Does not apply?
No longer applies to me either.
No longer applies.
They quit? Check it out.
Move to,
This is private, and we don't need to.
It's gonna be like,
We
well,
don't need to expose.
there
everybody's
goes our
personal
teachers.
lives publicly.
Dr. Brown's throwing up a red flag.
I mean, I'm just saying.
It's like, can we all move on?
Go
I
ahead.
said she retired last month.
It still doesn't apply.
All right. Now I declare I have a relative who works for the school system and that the board's vote may have an effect on my relative's employment. Even so, I hereby certify I will cast my vote in the best interest of the school system.
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
who's the second, Mr. Connor?
Mr. Carter. No, Mr. Carter.
Okay? Roll call?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that takes us down to administrative matters, differential pay. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. She beat me.
No lights, roll call.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Groan?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Takes us down to teachers eligible for tenure. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Ford, is this on consent agenda?
No,
It's,
no, it's under administrative business matters.
What is?
Everything we're going through right now.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, those have always been voted separately by the board. Because they affect the budget. So it's not even affect the budget.
Been a long 2 days, Dr. Roach.
it has.
Okay, I have no lights, roll call.
Let me get the motion a second again, please.
I think I seconded. It's been a long 2 minutes right now.
Yeah.
I motion.
Okay, the first one was
Marco.
reinstatement.
We,
Yes, that's where we were at in mind.
yeah, well, we've already approved, we already had a roll call on that one.
And I believe the motion and second, Mr. Chair, was Ms. Tiffany Robinson, and then Marco Perez was the second.
For item D.
Are we on D already? I was on C.
No, we did not vote on C yet.
I didn't think we voted on C. That's
This is
correct.
reinstatement of tenure.
Right.
Motion by
Okay.
Tiffany Robinson, second by Marco Perez.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Groan?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Takes us to D, teachers eligible for tenure. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
No lights, roll call.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Groan?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Takes us down to agreement with county operated detention centers. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
No lights, roll call.
You gonna do them all together, or?
No.
I'm just catching up, I
So
apologize.
it's E. 1,
Mrs.
2, 3,
Black?
4, though.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Groan?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Thurman? My apologies. Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Agreement with county operated detention centers at the jail.
So moved.
Second.
No lights, roll call.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Groan?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that takes us down
Now,
to,
contract with Orange Grove.
Yeah. that's
thank
great.
you. Keeping me on task there, Mr. Perez. Entertain a motion to approve Orange Grove contract.
So move.
Second.
No lights, roll call.
Mrs. Black?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Mr. Groan?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson?
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Wingate?
Yes.
Chairman Smith?
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Item G, Chattanooga Academy Community School, motion to approve.
So moved.
Hold on, can I make just a question
Yes,
on
yeah,
F?
sure.
So we pulled the vacations policy from first reading?
Yes.
Okay, I just want that to be public for people who are just tuning in now. So although it's, for some of us kind of there, it's not there.
Okay.
We, Mr. Kemp, do we need to make a motion to officially have that pulled? Is there anything that we need to do in an official capacity to
I
make
think
sure?
the executive committee did that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's done.
Just making sure that it's official, because it's still listed on.
Yeah. Well, no, but it's,
Hey.
all right,
Children.
just check.
Okay.
Don't be
Takes us
sad.
down to item G, Chattanooga Academy Community School. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question on this.
Okay, Mr. Perez?
I mean, they were here before. I know we approved something. We're back here, so I just want to know.
It's approving their enrollment Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System.
Okay, so it's just, okay, perfect. All right.
No more lights. Roll call.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Abstain.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Wingate,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Abstain.
No, there was an,
Abstain, I'm
Nine,
sorry.
9 in favor, 1 abstain.
9 in favor, none opposed, and 1 abstention.
Mr. Chair, if we're now at board matters, I'd like to make a motion to officially add my report on the legislative session to our official agenda so that it's available to the general public.
Second?
Okay, so, so you want that added?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So that it, if it's added to the agenda, then the general public can access it via looking at our agenda for this meeting.
Okay, so it'll be made a part of the record?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
As in the minutes.
Okay,
Is
Hold
that
on, hold on.
Mary,
The minutes.
is that the appropriate place to put it? He already made the request earlier, we said yes. Is there reports it could go under?
Mr. Connor, I would recommend that you ask that that be added to the minutes for this meeting, so it'll be publicly available there.
Excellent.
And
I
that
will.
That would not require anything except unanimous consent from the board.
Okay, I will amend my motion to ask for it to be included in the minutes of this meeting. And with the second and no one opposed, that would mean that we don't have to. So is Jill, do you still second?
Second.
Does anyone,
Doesn't need a motion, just
that, okay.
unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman.
okay. So do we need to do a roll call to make
No.
sure we're unanimous? Everybody okay with that?
Just ask if
All
there's any
hearts and minds
opposition.
clear.
Okay. All right. All right, so now let's go back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. For the SACC new supervisor position.
Move to approve.
Second.
No lights, but I will once again remind everyone that this is a self-funded program, so it doesn't affect our budget. So no other lights, so roll call, Mr. Steve?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
No.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. King,
yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Wingate,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
9 in favor, 1 opposed, Mr. Chairman.
SACC fiscal year 25 raise.
Move to approve.
Second.
No lights, roll call?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson.
Just, excuse me, just for clarity, this is the 1750 that applies.
That's
Just like
correct.
we, okay, yes, my vote is yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Wingate,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
Recommendation for fiscal year 25 school nutrition raises.
Move to approve.
Second.
No lights, roll call?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Fay Robinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Tiffany Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Wingate,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes.
10 in favor, none opposed, Mr. Chairman.
So events and announcements are there for you. Administrative in service, the 1st, 5th, and 6th Friday, August the 2nd, Convention Center, system-wide in service.
Chairman, can I just make
You
sure
wanna speak to
everybody's
that?
aware? Yeah, so first time in a number of years, I think since 2009 maybe, that we've been able to do this. We're really excited. It's gonna be a convention-style day, and so Chairman is gonna do the pep rally part of it, and would love for you to come join us. First 45 minutes, everybody will be in large room, all of our teachers, maintenance staff. Would love for you guys to be there. If you want to just stay for the first part, it's about 45 minutes. After that, you're welcome to stay and attend sessions and, just encourage our teachers, so.
Okay. So, Mr. Grones, you have a question or a comment there?
I just have a comment on an event that is going to be taking place.
All right, hold it, just hold
Okay.
on to that for just a second for me, if you would. Thank you. First day of school, August the 7th. That's on a Wednesday, and we'll go Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's that development day that's so valuable to get things settled in. And so now, Mr. Gronk.
I just want to say that for the second year in a row, Hickson Baptist Church is going to have an evening of prayer for Hamilton County schools, students, and staff. Hickson Baptist Church is at 5800 Grub Road. They will also be having 3 high school students, 3 middle school students, and 3 elementary school students offering up their short prayers also. So I encourage,
What was the date and time for that, Mr. Gronk?
it is 6 o'clock on August 5th.
August 5, 6 p.m., Hickson
Baptist,
Baptist Church on Grub Road
yeah,
there in,
5800 Grub.
up in God's country in Hickson.
And
Okay.
I think certainly
Okay,
with the hard work that this board does and everyone in the system does, we could certainly use some prayer.
amen. Okay, we stand adjourned.